want more. Crime babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like the lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double, but nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Alrighty then. Yes, y'all. Back at it again for another episode of You Know What It Is. Alright? V-Media in full effect. For those of you all that's wondering about the track that's playing, that's one of my singles. It's called They Want War, and it's off the LP Love and Madness. You know, and you can check it out on all the streaming platforms. It's on YouTube, Music, Spotify Music. What else is there? People using Tidal and folks using Apple Music Play, all of that. It's on all those platforms, Amazon, whatever. But check it out. It's a pretty good listen if you like some, how can I say this? Rap you can understand, non-mumbling rap, rap about different aspects of life, this kind of thing, what I would call traditional hip hop, or maybe golden era hip hop, in a modern rapping. So go check it out if you want to, if you're into that kind of stuff. It's some bangers on there for real, and They Want War is one of them. Now today we're gonna get off on another topic. Oh yeah, there goes the LP image, if you want to call it, or cover. I'm sorry. It's called Love and Madness. There it is right there by Empirical. That's V-Media, aka Empirical, right? MC as empirical data. For those of you that understand what empirical is, that means evidence, essentially. Okay. So, but in any case, let me pull that off today and right now. For specifically, we are going to be dealing with Donald Trump again, and the White House, and just the feelings, the overall feelings that this brings. I mean, people's thoughts. But listen, I really want to know. I want to know something about people when they comment, right? Just not anything deep, but just to be able to qualify your statement with something. You know what I mean? Because on the internet, we are in the world of the trolls, right? And let's be honest, not a lot of qualifying evidence to back up statements. It doesn't amount to much to a rational person. I mean, it can't really be used that way. So when we can qualify statements with other things, it kind of helps get an overall view of what's going on and, how to take the comments that are being made. Now, on this note, to me, when I look at this, I gotta say, it really, I don't like it. I don't like it. Now look, number one, there's history in the architecture of these buildings. Ripping it down, in my view, is ripping down a part of history. And so I think that's a very bold move for anyone to make, regardless of who it is, any type of president. Again, unless there's a structural failure, I don't get what this is about, because a lot of people, what they do is they fortify their history, preserve their history in the architecture and the buildings. You go to Downing Street. I mean, come on, what you think they're going to do? Just fuck it. Could Trump do this at the at the royal family's castle in London? Could Trump do this to Downing Street? Blah blah blah. What Western nation could you do this in? Right? What could you do? What colonial place that had a capitol built in the colonial period? What's next? Knock over the monument? I mean, is that next? Can Trump just do that? Can Trump knock over the national monument, the Washington Monument? The people compare that to the Pine Line, to the ISIS, in Egypt. Can you just knock that over for, let's just say, whose building is that? Who is that? A president's building? Or is that the American citizens' actual building? From what I get so far, Trump has not gone through the right channels to get approval. Now, again, don't get me wrong. Again, people will look at this in different ways. People will say Trump, the executive branch, is the branch that administrates things, and no other branch administrates stuff. So therefore, no other branch can really stop the executive branch from doing whatever it wants. So therefore, the executive branch doesn't have to concede to anyone else. Right there. Stop. I don't know where that idea of the executive branch doesn't have to concede. I can understand administer, but can you administer shit that's not legal? Is that okay? Or is it only administer things that's legal under the law? I mean, can you go around the rules? Is going around the rules legal? And when I see Trump tear this building down, he doesn't even have the new building approved yet, folks. No new designs have been approved yet. Whatever this is, it wasn't about structural insecurity, so it wasn't about safety. So it wasn't really necessary, but it did not even get approval from the normal channels. The Historic Society, this is something very, very, I would consider the enemy of the United States of America to applaud this action. I would not expect anyone else to applaud this action. Now, I'm just going to look at this. Let me see something. Did Trump get approval to redesign or have the designs for an addition to the West Wing or renovating the West Wing been approved? Let me see here. Now let me Let me pull this up real quick and see. Can I pull this up also? Where is this at? Boom. Here's gone. Here it is. All right, now let me see something. Can this play out? Translate to English? Hold on, let me see something. Is it this one? Oh, yeah, here we go. This shit was here the whole time.
What to know about Trump's plan to build $250 million White House ballroom? Construction news. Al Jazeera Oval from the National Capital Planning Commission, NCPC, before initiating the demolition of parts of the White House East Wing to construct a new ballroom. The NCPC is the federal agency responsible for overseeing such projects, and according to reports, the plans for the ballroom had not been submitted for review as required by federal law.
Damn.
The administration argued that a 1964 executive order owed the president to bypass the commission, but this claim has been contested by experts and former commission members. Despite the lack of formal approval, construction began. The Washington Post demolition commenced on October 20th, 2025. The project is estimated to cost $250 million and is being funded privately, contributions from President Trump and various donors. The new ballroom is designed to accommodate up to 999 guests, significantly lower than the current East Room's capacity of about 200. The administration has stated that the project will be completed before the end of UMP's term in January 2029. AP News.
Right. So now that we heard that, let's get on to see what they say in detail. There's more details I want to bring out, but I just wanted to start it there. Let's see here.
Demolition has begun on the east wing of the White House to make way for the president's 90,000 square foot ballroom, which is expected to cost around $200 million. It's being paid for by the president and other private donors. The East Wing traditionally houses the First Lady's staff. The president says it will be fully modernized. With us now is Alyssa Farah Griffin, who was the White House communications director in the first Trump administration. We both keep looking at these pictures going like, wow, that just looks weird. Let me play you something the president said about this proposed ballroom earlier.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it.
So he said it won't interfere with the current building. He said that back in July here. It seems to be interfering with a big chunk of the building that got knocked down here. How surprised are you that he's doing this?
Well, listen, he advertised he was going to do this, and I do remember in the first.
All right, let me just stop it right there. Now, Trump, if you go back, listen to what he says. He's the biggest fan, right? Listen to this. This is a weird statement in my view, but let's listen again.
Proposed ballroom earlier.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays.
Near it, but not touching it. Well, you just fucking tore part of it down. That is weird, but let's listen some more.
Total respect to the existing building, which I'm.
How do you have total respect for the existing building when you just ripped down a whole wing?
I'm the biggest fan of it. It's my favorite.
Biggest fan of it? This sounds like it's written. You know, this is something that's written or memorized or something. Biggest fan of, because that's not what the biggest fan. That's a very weird statement. Now, let me just go back to play this.
What to know about Trump's plan to build $250 million White House ballroom? Construction news. Al Jazeera Oval from the National Capital Planning Commission, NCPC, before initiating the demolition of parts of the White House East Wing to construct a new ballroom. The NCPC is the federal agency responsible for overseeing such projects, and according to reports, the plans for the ballroom had not been submitted for review as required by federal law.
So, again, required by federal law. The executive branch is charged with executing federal law. Yeah. That's what the executive branch does. It executes federal law. It makes sure federal law takes place. Right? And this, for some reason, I don't really understand it. Like, to me, this is a major, not that all the other things Trump does is not major, But in my view, this is a major disrespect to the United States. Flat out. Like, this is a major, major, major disrespect to American citizens right here. And it may seem like a small thing to some people, but, you know, maybe that makes American people very different from a lot of other people. Maybe that makes us different from many people. I mean, even if you go to Africa, they're preserving, and not that that's the worst place, but it's just an example, because the last video we just had Trump appointees talking about Africa ain't nothing but shithole countries. Black people are like this due to their natural state type of bullshit. So let's just harken back to that part and say even Africans preserve their old structures. Like, can you imagine if somebody in Cairo just went over to, you know, part of the pyramid and just chopped a big hole in that shit and built a Trump hotel out of it? I mean, people in their culture usually try to, you know, a strong people generally have a strong sense of culture and preservation of culture, which is present, you know. I mean, that part of that is your architecture, your buildings, your historic sites. This dude just knocked down without, I mean, there might be some technicality that says he can do construction, but that doesn't seem like what they had in mind. And the mere fact that he also did this egregious act, that he didn't follow federal law, should, you know, kind of qualify that even more as a disrespect to American people, because it's American people who elect officials who draft law, draft the rules, even for Trump, even for the executive branch. Who drafted the rules for the executive branch? Was it the executive branch? Was it the president? Let's find out. I don't know. Who drafted the rules for the executive branch and all other branches of government? Let me just make sure. You know, I'm pretty sure it wasn't the president. You know what I'm saying? Is the, you know, look at this key figures. Okay, George Washington was the president or presiding, but it's also James Madison, the principal architect, Alexander Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin, Governor Morris, and others. Purpose established 3 branches of government. But who did the rules? Legislative branch rules, drafted by Congress itself. So, you see, even the concept of what a president is and can do, right? Or what a president can do is drafted by we the people, by Congress. It's not the president to go out and say, oh, fuck, I know what this shit means. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's actually literally, he went out there and destroyed. I mean, I don't know, y'all. I really don't know. Of course, people are welcome to feel whatever they want to feel. There will be disagreement, even among legitimate, voices that matter, i.e. American citizens, right? But and others, because I'm sure anybody, if I went downtown in Copenhagen was like, fuck this, let me just chop up, Christiansborg, let me just let me just tear down let me just chop up the middle of Rahus Plaza and just stick a Trump Tower on the side of it, or go down, downtown, and chop into the Parliament building, downtown Copenhagen. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure people would be like, what the fuck is going on? If any parliament leader just did this, president, leader of the country just arbitrarily did this shit without Congress? Yo, I am not understanding that move at all. I'm not understanding that move at all.
What to know about Trump's plan to build $250 million White House ballroom, construction news, Al Jazeera Oval from the National Capital Planning Commission, NCPC, before initiating the demolition of parts of the White House East Wing to construct a new ballroom. The NCPC is the federal agency responsible for overseeing such projects, and according to reports, the plans for the ballroom had not been submitted for review as required by federal law.
Right. So it hasn't happened according to federal law. And there's more to this. Let me see. What are some of the recent criticisms? Let me see here. Criticisms against this move by Trump. Let me see here. This really annoys me. This really annoys me. By the way, on other news, somebody spotted a hunting tower somewhere in proximity or in eyesight of Trump's Mar-a-Lago place or something like that, or the airport where he lands his plane, something like that. That's also in recent news, but let me stick with this for a second. I'm actually disturbed by this, and not because of one reason, but what this looks like to me is like the fall of a nation. So I'm not suicidal. You know what I mean? I'm constructively I'm a constructive critic when I have things to say about my own nations, but not suicidal. I'm not for the destruction of my nation. I don't actually think that's going to lead to better things, by the way, for a lot of people, and not just American citizens. But when I see this, it looks like a clear stab at America, at the U.S. That is. At the United States, but I'm gonna play a little.
Trump's White House ballroom donations spark ethics concerns. A room project has faced significant criticism from various quarters, raising concerns about legal compliance, historical preservation, and ethical implications. Legal and oversight concerns, K of NCPC approval. The National Capital Planning Commission, NCPC, responsible for reviewing major federal projects in Washington, D.C., has not approved the demolition of parts of the East Wing or the construction of the new ballroom. Legal experts argue that proceeding without this appro may violate federal preservation laws. Government shutdown. During construction. The Dem. Milwaukee independent activities are occurring amid a federal government shutdown, raising questions about the legality of undertaking such projects without proper authorization and funding, historical preservation and architectural integrity. Milwaukee Independent Taurian Statement. The Society of Architectural Historians, SAH, has expressed concern over the proposed ballroom addition, emphasizing that significant changes to the White House's exterior should undergo a rigorous and deliberate design and review process to maintain the building's architectural and cultural significance. Demolition of historic East Wing. The East Wing, built in 1942, has been partially demolished. Society of Architectural Historians ballroom. Critics argue that this altar-on represents significant change to a historic building that should be preserved for future generations. Ethical and transparency issues, private funding and donor influence. The ballroom project is being fun. Reuters and Trump and various donors, including representatives from major corporations such as Mars, Apple, Meta, and others. Critics argue that this raises concerns about potential conflicts of interest and the influence of wealthy donors on presidential decisions. L of donor disclosure. While the White House has promised to disclose the names of donors, as of now, the identities of those funding the P. The Guardian said, leading to calls for greater transparency. Public perception and symbolism. Criticism from public figures. Public figures, including hosts from The View, have criticized the project, Desker AP News UD, nasty, and a desecration of...
All right, so, look, where do I start with this bullshit? Look at this. Is this, yo, people, American citizens have to understand something. This plan, has these individuals connected to it. And they, for some reason, are part of something that essentially has not been approved. And, this really kind of, in my view, I believe Trump is one thing that he understands, or not that he understands, but whoever is behind his punk ass understands, right? Because this appears to be more sinister. How Trump organizes events is not just by chance. Of course, it looks like they have a raving lunatic, which he is, but is it by choice? And just because Trump raves doesn't make him the architect. Actually, to me, it makes it look very confusing for a lot of people, because he achieves what enemies would almost do. People who have no respect, people who want to desecrate the name of the United States. Like, of course, all people won't agree, but look, when was the last time you saw a country that wasn't founded on some sort of war? What part of history, what country do you belong to? How did your country get founded? How did your country get the name that it has? What country, what part of the world do you want to go to? So we can examine that. I'm quite sure real historians won't go there, because you already know a lot of times nations are, they are created by taking something from another nation, from another group of people. I mean, and I'm saying that just across the globe, worldwide. I mean, damn. So when I look at this kind of desecration, I would look at, like, you have two things that you do. You either preserve, your heritage, or you destroy it, because you don't respect it, and given the fact that the White House was not in some sort of structural disrepair, like meaning it wasn't dangerous to be in, this is not a structural reparation. This is something else. You know what I mean? And it's not, and you don't even follow the law to do it. To me, this looks really, really bad. Now, I believe that Trump, in some kind of way, it's been designed to where you feed off of people's greed. You also feed off of people's fear, right? You give them an option. Like Trump gave Apple, Meta, and many of them an option. You either go along with the program, or I will penalize you as the president, right? Which is overreach, by the way. But he's gone about that. So in some kind of way, it's slick, because you get people involved in your scam that might not normally even want to be. Like, they might have their own scam going on and might not even want to be involved in your scam. But Trump makes everybody involved in his scam. He makes everyone else wear his dirty laundry, And if you ask me, this is kind of what it looks like to me when I see Apple. All these companies were doing well with Democratic leadership. You see what I mean? Why would they be so pressed to help Trump out? I mean, it's one thing to want to get a tax break, but the other thing is, are you going to survive when the next administration comes in? So you don't usually want to do things too extreme. But now he's gotten them to, quote unquote, put up $200 million for a building that doesn't even, for a structure where they're not even following the rules. I mean, I'm just curious about that. I think Amazon, Jeff Bezos, I think whoever the head of Apple is, I think whoever the head, what is it, Zuckerberg, the head of Meta, right? And others, I believe they all should go on record. They should all be asked in the media, what do you think about this move that Trump has made? And get them to speak, because it's their money paying for this shit, essentially. Now, I don't know how much people want to go into just the structural part about it, the disparaging parts about it, and just the idea that they didn't follow the law, right? But to me, there's some other issues, and that is in the construction, right? And in partially the destruction, right? But in the construction, the demolition is a problem. There could be some issues there security wise, but in the construction, if you ask me, that is a massive, massive undertaking if you want it to be a center of government for the executive branch, the head of the, the one that is supposed to execute. Execute is an important part of a plan. You would want that to be very secure. And when you look at this, I mean, when you find out what is right on top of when you find out they tore this shit down, but do you know what's underneath that, right? The part that they tore down, that's the secure place for the president to go to handle all operations is right underneath that. If I was on some spy shit, wouldn't I want to be right on top? Wouldn't I want to be right next to the wall so I can listen, so I can do something? I mean, even worse, in the construction of this building, do you know how much checks and balances they have to go through, security measures you have to go through to make sure that there's nothing inside of the building materials that is a threat, like listening devices? Do you know how difficult of a challenge that is? And do you know who would be responsible for making sure that no spy devices or anything destructive or damaging or anything like that is in any of the materials, any of the products, material wise, the physical shit, or the electronic aspects of it? Do you understand who's in charge of making sure none of that shit is in there? Because once you realize Kash Patel and Kristi Noem are the ones in charge of that shit, what? How can any of the security measures even work with Kristi Noem, Kash Patel on top of it? They're the ones that's going to check. So I'm just telling you, I already looked into this shit, but I'm just going to pull some of this stuff up. Are there any security concerns regarding the location of the hall being built and what else? Being built and the individuals in charge of making sure it's secure, right? I'm going to look deeper, but let me just start off with that. Let me see here. This is troubling. Actually, maybe I should pull up some of the other info, but here, let's pull this up and see what it says. I mean, for me, just right out the gate, I see this as a problem, and I figure why even wait for people to cover it, or the media to cover it? Because let me tell you, legacy media is caught up. It's like a slow beast. It's like a whale, legacy media. It doesn't dip and dive and move left to right and change direction anytime it wants. No, it's just kind of like a sluggish thing. So
White House tears down East Wing facade to build Trump ballroom and the construction of the new White House ballroom, particularly due to its location and the individuals overseeing its security. Location-related security concerns. Proximity to sensitive areas. The East Wing, where the ballroom is being construct D, houses the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, PEOC, a secure facility designed to protect the president and other senior officials during emergencies. The demolition of parts of the East Wing raises cons about the potential impact on the integrity and security of this critical facility. Historical significance. The East Wing has been Wikipedia House since 1942 and contains off-airs and spaces used for hosting foreign dignitaries. Altering this area could affect the building's historical and architectural gritty, leading to concerns about preserving national heritage. Security oversight and personnel. United States secret. The Guardian SS is responsible for protecting the President and other senior officials. While they are tasked with ensuring security during the construction, the scale and visibility of T-Project may present challenges in maintaining confidentiality and preventing potential threats. Lack of transparency. The project is being funded privately, and there has been limited fiscal knowledge. The White House ears of the donors and the specific security measures being implemented. This lack of transparency raises questions about accountability and the thoroughness of security planning. Add-on security measures. Given the sensitive nature of the White House and the ongoing construction, Guardian security protocols are in place. However, the full extent of these measures has not been publicly disclosed, leading to concerns about potential vulnerabilities during the construct process. If you would like more detailed information on specific aspects of the construction or security measures, feel free to ask.
The new building is equipment. Oops. Okay. And otherwise, let's see here. Right, because I'm thinking about the materials even. I'm going to pull up a few things, so just bear with me. Then I'm going to go back and play a little bit of this video again, and then I'm going to go back and pull up a few more things. Let me see. In a second, I'm going to go look at the chat, say what's up to some folks, see who's out there. Let me see here. Now, let's check this out.
Ensuring that a new White House structure like a ballroom is totally secure, including the building itself, its equipment and construction materials, requires a highly structured, multi-layered security process. Here's a detailed breakdown of the steps typically undertaken. Planning and design stage. Objective: identify vulnerabilities before construction begins. Threat assessment. Secret Service, USSS, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and intelligence agencies analyze risks such as espionage, sabotage, and electronic eavesdropping. Design security integration. Architects and engineers must incorporate blast-resistant walls, bulletproof windows, secured communications wiring, and RF shielding Faraday cages where necessary. Compartmentalization. Sensitive areas, like the PEOC or secure offices, are isolated from construction zones. Personnel security objective. Ensure everyone involved is trustworthy. Background checks. All construction workers, contractors, engineers, and suppliers undergo federal background investigations, often including FBI and DHS vetting. Continuous monitoring. Security clearance is maintained during the project, with periodic rescreenings. Restricted access. Only cleared personnel are allowed near sensitive areas. Supervisors and security officers escort workers in critical zones. Material security objective. Ensure no equipment or materials are tampered with. Supply chain vetting. All building materials and equipment are sourced from approved, trusted suppliers. Foreign-made components are carefully scrutinized for hidden electronics or spy tech. X-ray scanning. Critical components, cabling, metal panels, electronic devices are scanned for hidden devices or radio frequency transmitters. Tamper-evident packaging. High-security items are delivered in sealed, monitored packaging. Construction security measures objective: prevent intrusion, eavesdropping, or sabotage during construction. Perimeter security. Fencing, cameras, and sensors around construction zones. Electronic countermeasures, Tempest. Detect and neutralize any surveillance devices or unauthorized wireless signals. On-site security teams. USSS agents and contractors trained in counter-surveillance monitor daily activities. Secure storage. Sensitive tools, electronics, and documents are stored in secured containers when not in use. Post-construction testing objective. Verify structural, electronic, and operational security. Sweep for listening devices. Experts perform physical and electronic sweeps for microphones, cameras, or bugs. RF shielding tests. Confirm that electronic communications inside the building cannot be intercepted from outside. Stress and blast testing. Structural reinforcements are tested for resilience to explosive or physical threats. Operational security drills. Simulations for emergency scenarios, including evacuation and lockdown procedures. Ongoing security maintenance objective. Maintain the security posture over time. Regular inspections. Scheduled and surprise inspections for structural and electronic vulnerabilities. Electronic monitoring, continuous scanning for rogue devices or anomalies in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth or other signals. Personnel updates. New contractors or staff undergo the same rigorous clearance procedures. Key agencies involved. United States Secret Service, USSS, overall security for President and White House. Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. Background checks and counterintelligence. Department of Homeland Security, DHS. Critical Infrastructure and Supply Chain Security. National Security Agency, NSA, Electronic Counter-Surveillance and Communications Security. GSA, White House Military Office, Logistics and Building Management Oversight. If you want, I can draw a detailed flowchart showing the full life cycle of securing a sensitive White House construction project from planning to ongoing maintenance. It helps visualize how each layer of security overlaps. Do you want me to make that chart?
Yeah. So now, there was a part in here where they touched on, what was it they touched on? Right. Chain and supply, right? Chain and supply. That is the materials and the machinery and what have you, all the shit you need to build it. Who's making it? Where does it come from? Who's selling it? Who is the producer? Who is the, person marketing it or selling it, distributing it, right? And who is, just this kind of thing, who's paying for it, everything, right? Now, to make sure there's no conflict of interest or make sure there's no known security risk already there. But then there's within that, then there's this type of dynamic. I asked here, let me see. Have Russians or Chinese government been accused of building buildings that have spying technology built into the structure or even building materials, right? So let's see what that got to say.
Yes, there have been multiple accusations and verified cases over the years involving Russia, China, and other foreign actors allegedly embedding surveillance technology in buildings or building materials. These are usually part of espionage campaigns targeting sensitive government, corporate, or diplomatic facilities. Here's a detailed breakdown. China, PRC. Supply chain and building infiltration, telecommunications and IT equipment. Chinese companies like Huawei and ZTE have been accused of providing network infrastructure containing backdoors that could enable surveillance or data interception. US intelligence and Congress have restricted these companies from federal contracts over espionage concerns. US Congress Report, 2020. Please open your app to see this link. Construction materials and furnishings. In 2019, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, ASPI, reported concerns about Chinese contractors supplying furniture or fixtures with embedded electronics capable of transmitting data. Sensitive government buildings in Australia and New Zealand have banned certain Chinese manufactured office furnishings and IT equipment. Embassy and diplomatic buildings. Allegations surfaced that Chinese-built embassy structures in Africa and Latin America were pre-fitted with microphones, cameras, and network surveillance hardware. Russia, Soviet legacy and modern practices, Soviet-era techniques. During the Cold War, the USSR famously installed bugs in construction materials in Western embassies, including hollow walls and light fixtures. Mitrokhin Archive, 1999. Please open your app to see this link. Modern Russian practices. In 2018, US intelligence warned that Russian contractors and agents have used building materials and prefabricated items to conceal electronic surveillance devices in foreign embassies and diplomatic housing. Russia has also been accused of embedding malware-ready hardware during construction or renovation projects targeting strategic sites. Common methods of embedding spy technology in buildings. Method, description, risk. Microphones and cameras in fixtures, ceiling lights, vents, furniture can transmit audio-video externally. Network IT backdoors, servers, routers, wiring and access points allows remote access to communications. Hidden electronics in materials, prefabricated panels, flooring, paint, glass, difficult to detect without specialized sweeps. Electromagnetic interception, conductive walls or wiring can leak RF signals or capture keystrokes. Government reactions. US, Australia, Canada and EU have all restricted or banned certain foreign construction companies from working on sensitive government buildings. Security sweeps, Tempest style, are routinely conducted on buildings that have been constructed or refurbished by contractors from high-risk countries. Takeaways. 1. Embedding spy tech in buildings is not hypothetical. It has historical precedent and modern documentation. 2. Foreign governments, especially Russia and China, have been accused multiple times, with varying levels of proof, of hiding.
All right, so look, the main thing is not really, of course, obviously, what comes into mind is Russia or China, right? But that's not the only thing that comes into mind to me. There's some other things like, my thoughts are, what if Trump wants to spy on other presidents? If China or Russia, if he's learned, Trump, don't forget Trump, like he says, sometimes he kind of speaks, he spits some truth in a way that you just have to read between the lines. Like, Trump doesn't always lie, right? He's speaking his own truth, which might be warped, but there might be some truth to it, right? He is, like he says, he's a expert at building buildings. That's what he does, right? Trump's best friend was for 15 years is Jeffrey Epstein, the person who Howard Lutnick says was an expert blackmailer. So, and what did he blackmail people with? Technology, video cameras, audio, probably, and photos, this kind of thing, right? Now, what if Trump, knows a little more about this espionage thing? I mean, the concern right away would be like, of course, Russia is probably all over Trump. Come on, Trump's, Trump makes no claim of it. In fact, he just says it's all a hoax. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even try to defend it really through any specific information or, he just says it's all a hoax. Doesn't that sound familiar? I mean, we just came off the last stream where it's like the same type of thing, conspiracy theories. Again, everything that Trump does, they try to say it's a conspiracy. Look, the last guy spit all this racist stuff that Trump appointed, and he was like, it's probably AI. Or they don't even say it wasn't him. They just say it could be AI. We can't confirm or authenticate these messages. They don't say it's not me, god damn it, that's a liar. No, it's always a conspiracy. It's always a conspiracy. The guy that he appointed thinks 9/11 was a conspiracy. Trump, when you ask him about this kind of stuff, Russia hoax was a conspiracy. You see, everything is literally a conspiracy with Trump. Everything is literally a conspiracy. So if you were to take that as projection, you would turn that upside down and say, well, is he conspiring? If he believes it's a conspiracy so much, why does he feel so much it's a conspiracy? Is it because he's aware because he conspires also? Is he aware of how easy it is? And so from there, you got to ask yourself, this motherfucker is making a building. And at first I was like, Russia, China. But then I was like, whoa, wait a second. What? He knows about spying on people already. He's at the center of the Epstein espionage, blackmail shit. He's at the center of it. So wouldn't he like to blackmail some people? I mean, why wouldn't he like to black? Then, just very simple. Would you trust this dude? Look, Jeffrey Epstein dies when he's in prison while Trump's the president. Trump tries to get Ghislaine Maxwell off. He tries to get her off of her conviction. Like, you could call it whatever the fuck you want, but it damn sure looks like he's trying to get her off. Right? and now he's making a building. That sounds kind of suspicious. On top of the place where the whole control center is. Yo, for the executive office operation, look at this shit. I mean, yo, this shit is all here. It's all in plain sight. Like, really, this dude is on some shit. Look at this shit. Oh my God. Just wow. Denmark, please don't ever fall for this. Norway, Sweden, Lithuania, Estonia, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, you know what I'm saying? Any of these other places, the UK, fuck it. Nobody else fall for this shit. If you fall for this, you have to know that there is something up with this bullshit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people fall for shit like this every day. But in any case, let's start off with what they said in the beginning. Look at what he said. Look at what he said in the beginning. Where is this at? Here we go. Right here. Is this it? Right. Here it is. Listen to this one more time. And then we go.
What to know about Trump's plan to build $250 million White House ballroom. Construction news. Al Jazeera Oval from the National Capital Planning Commission, NCPC, before initiating the demolition of parts of the White House East Wing to construct a new ballroom. The NCPC is the federal agency responsible for overseeing such projects, and according to reports, the plans for the ballroom had not been submitted for review as required by federal law.
Boom. Right there. And, the bottom line is federal law. Who makes federal law? That's the Congress. Who wrote the roles for the presidency for the country? Congress wrote those roles. Wrote the roles. Look, here we go.
The rules for the branches of the U.S. government come from different sources depending on whether you mean constitutional structure, laws, or internal procedures. Here's a clear breakdown. U.S. Constitution. The fundamental rules, drafted by the Constitutional Convention delegates, also called the Founding Fathers, in 1787. Key figures: George Washington, presiding, James Madison, principal architect, Alexander Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin, Gouverneur Morris, and others. Purpose: establish the three branches of government, legislative, executive, judicial, and outline their powers, responsibilities, and checks and balances.
And so now that they're created,
legislative branch rules, drafted by Congress itself.
Boom.
Where internal rules for debate, voting, and procedures are set in documents like the House Rules and Senate Rules. Example: the House and Senate adopt their own rules at the start of each Congress. Some rules are centuries old, while others are updated annually. Executive branch rules, drafted by the President, issues executive orders, regulations, and directives to
All right, so there it is. It's written by who? Here's the question again, just for people that missed it. Who drafted the rules for the executive branch, right? It's very simple. It says it here, legislative branch rules. That means how the president is to operate, right? Under his administrative authority as the executive office, right? Congress itself. You see, the president didn't draft any rule. He's supposed to follow the rules. And then when you hear this...
What to know about Trump's plan to build $250 million White House ballroom. Construction news. Al Jazeera Oval from the National Capital Planning Commission, NCPC, before initiating the demolition of parts of the White House East Wing to construct a new ballroom. The NCPC is the federal agency responsible for overseeing such projects, and according to reports, the plans for the ballroom had not been submitted for review as required by federal law.
That's it. So he's already ripped down everything. I mean, if you tell me, to me, the bottom line is like this. Sorry, but everybody, no president is going into this building after this. No president of the United States is going through this building. This is going to either have parts removed, or no president in their right mind would consider taking office in this building here. Just because of the security claims. Now, if you want to go into who's ultimately responsible for securing and making sure this construction is secure, it would be the head of the CIA, Homeland Security. Who is it? Who's that? Christy Nome. You just tell me. It's all of these mixed characters that are all shady. Christy Nome. What's the other one? Blah blah blah. Haven't seen her in a while. Something must be wrong with her. It's the CIA head. She's disappeared. Nowhere to be found again. Then there's Kash Patel. All of these people, play a role. Homeland Security, CIA, FBI, and the Secret Service. All of them work together, but they all rely on, on each other's vetting and the supply chain, largely, vetting the entire project, even down to the materials. Where are the materials made? But look, check this out. Understand one thing. It only takes one. Let's look at this in terms of bricks. It might take, and not only bricks, but let's just use bricks as an example of material, right? That will be present. It's going to take a whole lot of bricks. It's going to take a whole lot of cement. It's going to take a whole lot of steel, cement, and things like this, right? Electrical wiring. It's going to take a lot of stuff. And it only takes one mistake out of hundreds of thousands of things, material things you're going to need. And it only takes one piece, one little thing, maybe even just about this size, maybe even smaller, just in one thing out of hundreds of thousands of things for that to be a wrap, for that to be insecure. So it's very obvious that something is very, very wrong here. But let me go back and play what they're doing on the news. I just don't find legacy media that great when it comes to jumping on stories. Like, seriously, like I really don't. I'm not pissing on them. I know that's not easy to do the job they do, but if you ask me, this shit, it's good they got the conversation started, but come on, let's catch up, man. This is something very, very weird here, but let's go on. Let's listen to how they talk about it.
It'll be
said about this proposed ballroom earlier.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it.
So he said it won't interfere with the current building. He said that.
Right. And the current building is knocked down now. It's like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? The current building is knocked down. It won't interfere with it, though. Interfere must be a technical word. So now when you all use interfere, imagine if somebody used that word on you. Hey, by the way, it won't interfere with your car. It won't interfere with you having your car. But I just take your fucking car. I mean, this is the kind of double talk that Trump makes. It won't interfere with the building that's there. The building just got fucking destroyed. And listen, he might mean it in some demented way that you don't even understand yet. Like, what does he mean by it won't interfere in the building that's already there? Could he mean something else? Like, I don't really know how you could take that any other way but as nonsense. But
back in July here, it seems to be interfering with a big chunk of the building that got knocked down here. How surprised are you that he's doing this?
Well, listen, he advertised he was going to.
But is that what he meant? I mean, yeah, on the surface, that's crazy and that's nutty. But somehow I think it has some twist, is part of some twisted thing,
do this.
Trump doesn't keep a secret well.
And I do remember in the first term, he had this huge frustration with the fact that he couldn't do massive state dinners that you'd see in other countries. So like the stateroom.
Corny. You think people are stupid? Listen, if you want to rob somebody, do you think you just go in there? I mean, sure, you could run in there with a mask and a gun and rob a jewelry store. You could do that. Or rob a bank. You could do that. Or you could layer your offense and make it look like something that it isn't. Make a big, you ever heard of a magic trick, right? make a big distraction, a big fiasco here and there, and have you look. But actually, what you're really after is something that the magic trick distracts from. So to me, when I look at this, it's like the obvious story is the security story. What the fuck? And so how would you mask it? If you wanted to spy on the White House, how would you mask it? You would do it through building something big there. I mean, why build something small when it's easier to secure small shit? It's harder to secure mass amounts of new shit, right? I mean, and under the guise of, listen to how Trump talks about it. I really like this building. Man, Trump don't give a fuck about nothing he says. Everything he says is the opposite of what he says. Look.
It'll be near it, but not touching it. And pay
Near it, but not touching it. Okay. If you agree with that statement, put a 1 in the chat. Is it near it, but not touching it? Is that a true or is that a false statement? If that's a true statement, put a 1 in the chat. If it's a false statement, put a 2 in the chat. And yeah, and let me know what town you're in. Let me know what town you're in, just to qualify it, or what town you from, where you from on earth. Some people are outside of the U.S. too, right? Wherever you're from, let me know what town you're from when you make your comment. Now, do you believe that shit Trump just said?
It'll be near it, but not touching it.
Near it, but not touching it. Is that true? It would be near it, but not touching it. Well, he never told you he was tearing down. Like, he didn't, according to what's been stated here. This is, by the way, let me look this up. Let me just pull this open real quick, because I don't want people to think I'm bullshitting here, but let me see. Can I pull this up right now? Yeah, I can. Look at this. Here it is. So let's take a little glimpse at this. Trump is rushing to build his ballroom. A review process could take years. A review process could take years. Do you see that? So why would you knock down something where the review process can just take years? Just think about that. Does that sound kind of rushed? Like he's in a rush to do this project? Yeah, and of course you would say, yeah, because he won't be president long and he wants to get it done. Yeah, but motherfuckers want to go to Mars too and live on Mars. I mean, can you rush it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that doesn't mean nothing else counts. Just get this shit up before Trump's not president anymore. That's not how you go about doing things. And with this regard, this is security matter. So look at this. National Capital Planning Commission, which has yet to consider the massive project, has taken months or years to approve much smaller changes at the White House. So they take months, if not years, to approve smaller projects. This is a huge, huge undertaking. President Donald, you may as well say, yeah, I want to knock down the monument, national monument, and and put up a Trump Tower. You may as well say that. President Donald Trump is rushing to break ground next month on a giant White House ballroom, but has not yet submitted the project for a review that experts said is required by law and often takes years to complete. It is required by law and often takes years to complete. Where's the rest of this damn article here? That's weird. All right, let me see one else here. Let me see something. It says lacks approval here. Where is that at? Okay. Let me see what AP News says. White House starts demolishing part of the East Wing to build Trump's ballroom. But it could be because this motherfucker probably, he's a fat slob anyway. So his bathroom is probably huge, right? White House has started tearing down part of the East Wing to build a ballroom, right? But how come Trump didn't just say, but it hasn't gotten approval yet, y'all? How come he doesn't say that when he's speaking about it? How come he doesn't tell you it could take months to approve? Right, because then you wouldn't be able to explain really tearing this shit down, right? So he's not going to talk about it, but it's obvious that he, for some reason, doesn't want to follow the rules. Now, what could the reason be? Let's say you break a law. something, let's say you break a criminal law. What would you be once you have been found to break that law, right? That criminal law. You would be a criminal. That's how it works. When you don't obey the criminal code in the U.S. Constitution, you become a criminal, right? If you're caught not following it, right? Now, Trump, in this case, this is civil, right? Isn't this more like civil? But, you know, it's still obviously a violation, right, of some sort, even though it's unprecedented pretty much. Because if you listen to Trump, he'll describe it like this has happened before. He even said 50% of the presidents do this. Man, when have you seen this in your lifetime? Them rip down the wing of a historic building of the White House. The White House on Monday started tearing down part of the East Wing, the traditional base of operations for the First Lady to build. Okay, for the First Lady. Okay. Operations for the First Lady to build Donald Trump's $250 million ballroom, despite lacking approval for construction from the federal agency that oversees such projects. That means he's violating the law. Okay. You can't build shit there, and I'm pretty sure that means demolish stuff also without their approval. And they did say that, something to that effect. Dramatic photos of the demolition work shows construction equipment tearing into the East Wing facade and windows and other building parts in tatters on the ground. Some supporters watched from a park near the Treasury Department, which is next to the East Wing. Okay. Wow, look at this. He tore that shit down. This is crazy. This is crazy. Location of the White House. Ballroom expansion. Area demolished on Monday. Oh, wow. Okay, so here we go. Trump announces the start of construction in social media posts and reverence the work while hosting 2025 college baseball champs, Louisiana State University, LSU, Shreveport in the Eastern Room. He noted the work was happening right behind us. We have a lot of construction going on, which you might hear periodically, he said, adding, damn, he sounds real happy too. You know, like this must remind him of New York, the old days or some shit. I don't know. I'm just at my best when a construction is going on, you know. But let me see here. Total square foot, 90,000 feet. Seating capacity, 650. Construction timeline starts September 2025. Completion set date. But look, none of this shit was approved. None of it's been approved. Look, the White House has moved ahead with the massive... Okay, we started today. We have a lot of construction going on. Okay, the White House has moved ahead with the massive construction project despite not yet having signed off from the National Capital Planning Commission, which approves construction work and major renovations to government buildings in the Washington area. Its chairman, Will Scharf, who is also the White House staff secretary and one of Trump's top aides, said at the commission's September meeting that agency does not have jurisdiction over the demolition or site preparation work for buildings on federal properties. Okay, but they disagree. They differ. What we deal with is essentially construction, vertical build. Yeah, right. This is some vertical build. It's unclear whether the White House has submitted the ballroom plans for the agency. You know, again, I'm not so sure, why they say this. Obviously, they use this kind of excuse, and they use this excuse with everything they do. No other agency, nobody, no branch of government has the right to interfere in anything we do. That's always their argument. But you have to remember that it's really, he's interpreting, the White House tends to interpret law that way. But keep in mind, Congress is the one who wrote the rules about the executive branch and what their reach is. So maybe people should refer to Congress, You know, maybe the congressional members need to be asked about this by the media. What do you think about this? I'm wondering if they already are doing this. But to me, I mean, what does MAGA Mike Johnson think? You know, what do all the 1776ers in the Heritage Foundation think? Although a lot of them don't even have family members, they go back to the Civil War period. I mean, really, and they call themselves the Heritage Foundation. But this is what you're dealing with. They would be the ones. You see what I mean by the veil, the mask? Mask yourself as something and then be up to something else. It never seems to turn out to be what it is when they say it is this, you know, something, you know, with this right wing. The White House did not respond to a request for comment, and the commission's office are closed because of the government shutdown. The Republican president has said in July, when the project was announced, that the ballroom would not interfere with the mansion itself. Okay, yeah. Okay, it'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. You know, can you be a bigger fan than this what is it? This commission that oversees this kind of work, you know, as far as the what do they call this? Hold on. Yeah, the National Capital Planning Commission. Can you be a bigger fan than them as one individual? I mean, because their whole thing is about that. The National Capital Commission, the Planning Commission, the whole thing, you know, all the area, not just the Capitol building, but all of the, you know, all of this White House governmental, you know, historic build, all these buildings, the historic buildings. But in any case, let me see here. President Trump insists that presidents have desired such a ballroom for 150 years, and that he is adding the massive 90,000 square foot glass walled space because of the East Room, which is the largest room. Now check this out. He's, you know, all the presidents. Trump insists that presidents have desired such a ballroom. Yeah, okay. You would know that because you're a mind reader, and you know. This is crazy. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said those East Wing offices will be temporarily relocated during the construction and that wing of the building. But where does it say about the security? This the place where the president goes in like a 9/11 situation underneath in the White House. Let me see here. White House disclose. Okay. Contributed. Okay, the White House has said it will disclose the information on who has contributed the money to build the ballroom, but yet has to do so. Right, they haven't done yet. They only mentioned a few, but they haven't mentioned all, and that should be another concern. But let's see here. All righty, clearing trees and that, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, I'm going to take a look at this. Let's go back. In the meantime, let's go back over to this and see what he have to say.
And pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it.
So he said it won't interfere with the current building. He said that back in July here. It seems to be interfering with a big chunk of the building that got knocked down here. How surprised are you that he's doing this?
Well, listen, he advertised he was going to do this. And I do remember in the first term, he had this huge frustration with the fact that he couldn't do massive state dinners that you'd see in other countries. So like the state room can only hold something like 150. The East room, maybe a little more than that. So he's always wanted this.
You know what? Thorben, you know what? Or is it Torben? I'm sorry, Torben. You know, you might be onto something there. And Torben said, I don't even know why I even bothered to say Torben. It's because I forget. Du norsk eller dansk? Yeah. Yeah, because in Danish, that would just be with a T. But in any case, Torben, right? Same thing. Torben. Okay. He says that Trump thinks he has total immunity. But look, here's the thing, man. Trump is going to be dead. You will never, long before you get a chance to prosecute Trump, he's going to die, or he's going to be too old to take, to sit for any type of hearing. That's basically what they're going to do. They're going to say he's an old man, or he's going to be dead for real. So he's moving like he doesn't care what you try to do to him, because he won't be alive. But and I guess this is how they're going about it. Like, his family can't be prosecuted. This kind of thing. They're looking for that separation. And, I'm just going to say something. I don't believe the United States can move forward taking such a sustained hit. Like this type of lack of respect for the rules, norms, and the precedents of law, right? Set in law already. This type of flagrant violations seems to me like the U.S. ain't gonna move past. If you let people get away with this, you almost don't deserve to have a country or government, because no government or country can survive this, and the U.S. is a big country, but this is a critical central thing. This is like a central blow to the country. This is like a nuclear bomb from the inside. You see what I mean? This is like a slow rotting, decaying, growing cancer. Cancers take down the entire body, and it starts from inside, so this is just my personal opinion. I don't see it so far as something Trump plans on. He doesn't care if you prosecute him, because I believe in his mind, he pretty much thinks he's going to be dead or won't be able to take the stand. I think they factored all this in, and so that means that the idea is that everyone else will try to distance themselves somehow while protecting him, maybe, but also definitely try to say it was Trump, it wasn't me, but I don't think the U.S. can survive that. The country's going to need some clarity about what actually happened, just like 9/11. But this is even worse. I hate to say this. 9/11 was bad enough, but this is worse. This is worse, if you ask me. And that's a damn shame to say, but this is worse than this has the potential of being way worse than 9/11. That just in my view, right off the bat. But let's maybe I'll change my view later. But right now, this is my assessment of it.
This grand ballroom, something that you would see in England or something. But I think it's going to end up, based on what I've kind of heard, is it's going to look a lot more like a Mar-a-Lago ballroom than perhaps like Buckingham Palace. But we'll see. We'll wait for the designs to come through. But this is something he wanted. He wants that pomp and circumstance, and he wants to leave his mark on this White House. He wants in 50 years and 100 years for there to be a reminder that Donald Trump was in this White House.
It is jarring, though, to see wrecking balls like tear down these walls that we've seen.
It's a fully working building. Even the East Wing, you've got the First Lady's staff has their offices there. Some of legislative staff did in his first term. So even when construction starts, I wonder what that's going to be like during the day, because I imagine he's going to want to move very quickly here. He's going to want his ballroom soon. He's certainly not going to want the next guy to inherit it in 3 years.
So it's not just this, right? He also paved over part of the Rose Garden here.
Yeah, and the theme seems to be Mar-a-Lago, but make it DC, because you see the new Rose Garden. You've got even the umbrellas from Mar-a-Lago, those sort of yellow country club looking ones. I'm curious what this will end up looking like. He does like grand, ornate, Trumpian style. I expect there'll be a lot of gold. But I think listen, you're going to have critics of this. I'd like just plain and simple. If it doesn't adhere to the original architecture of the White House, if it doesn't look like it fits in and kind of keeps that sort of the look that it has. So I think we'll see.
What do you think the next president will do? I guess when you're talking about the ballroom, they're not going to change that. That is what it is. But I do wonder about the Rose Garden.
I could see somebody going back.
Yeah, so far I'm just like, what is CNN talking about? I mean, they seem to miss. Maybe it's because like they said, that this commission is not open right now because of the shutdown, but I don't buy that, because you could have a lot of experts speaking on this too. But
back to that, like, listen, Trump complained both on the South Lawn and the Rose Garden. It's hard for events. The chairs, the risers, they sink into the ground. Women's shoes do. That's a very legitimate concern. But I think
she used the word legitimate concern. Sorry, that's your opinion, lady. That's not a fact.
The paving over it, I could see somebody later actually deciding that they want to change that.
So the president also last week unveiled plans to build a triumphal arch, which some are calling the Arc.
Yeah, who said that? Somebody in the chat was talking about this arch right here. Here you go. This is what you're talking about?
Across from the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, how far do you think he's going to push this remaking of Washington, D.C.?
I think he's going to push it quite far. I mean, listen, from the Kennedy Center becoming practically the Trump Center with his board of directors, him hosting events there, I think he wants to leave his mark on Washington. There is a comfort level that Trump has in the second term that he did not have in the first term. It was a lot of learning the building, learning the machinations of government, and now it's he wants to leave his mark on history. So I expect you're going to see even more of this.
There's a lot of Americans that are definitely not down with nothing Trump is doing. And building, you could try all this building shit you want to try. I doubt very serious it will remain. And I think something else is liable to happen before something like that remains. And you might be able to build it fast, but I just think Trump projects. I think he projects like he doesn't feel like he has a lot of time left. So he rushes things. The Epstein files aren't going away. Maybe that's why he's trying to rush it, because he feels like he's going to go down. I mean, think about that. If you're about to go down as a pedophile, you would probably want to build your arches first. You want to build your wing to the White House first before, Ghislaine Maxwell spills the beans, or before Congress spills the beans. This is what the shit sounds like to me ultimately. Like fast plans, even the security failure, even the security things that I brought out about the concerns about spying. And when you're making buildings, that's the number one technique used to spy. Shit, I can make the building. If I want to spy on other people, why don't I be in charge of constructing the building? And I'll put the spy shit in it, because I'll have control over all of the material acquisitions. I'll have over vetting all the materials you use, the electronic gear, not even just that, but the damn cement, knowing what's in the cement, knowing what's inside of the bricks. Out of hundreds of thousands of pieces, all you need is one of those little pieces to be compromised. And this is supposed to be on top of the place the president goes in a 9/11 situation. Just right above it is where this right wing is. I'm serious now. So to me, it sounds more like all the shit that Trump is trying to do, he's trying to do it right now because he doesn't see himself being around long. That's my assessment. Of course I could be wrong. Whoop-de-doo. That's okay. People are always wrong sometimes, and you learn from being wrong, So unfortunately, we're not going to know if I'm wrong until another year, basically, right? But something like that, 6 months to a year, so it's going to take a little time. But I'm up for that, and it's no big deal to me. If I'm wrong, hey, then there it is, because I can always say, well, this is what I was thinking back then, and I wasn't right about it. But it turns out it was different than what I thought. But if I'm right about what I'm saying, I definitely think it's a good look on YouTube for a vlogger, a podcaster, to be correct about some shit. And on top of it, first to have the conversation. Or one of the first, But in any case, y'all, I'm going to be out. I'll be back in a couple of hours. I still got more to come. I'm going to put up the next stream soon. In the next hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, I will post it up. So if you cats are around, stay tuned. If not, I'm going to catch you on the flip side later. And but I appreciate you too, everybody, for coming out in any case. Okay. So on that note, I'll see you guys real soon. I'll be right back at you. All right. One. Is this playing? What's up with this? Yo, peace, y'all. One, release the Epstein files. Yes.
They want more. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. reality, see. They don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. Then I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink. But I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear. But they won't cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear. And they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguise is religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. All they really want is a war. Every tactic to make the big.
Yo, I'm sorry. Torben said he could imagine Trump getting a heart transplant. All right, peace, y'all. Peace. I'll be back.
Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they want to keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Epstein files. Release the Epstein files.
Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax, and just hear a dope cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment, at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gat. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills, cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. It's your dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat, just relax. And hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat, just relax. My mind state, now balloon, it won't inflate. Just take the buzz, this much wiser kid, fuck the shade. And take it to a lower level, and dig a ditch for a devil. Got some more kids and pass the shovel. Dig a hole, take them on a spiritual roll. Lyrics unfold, either that or unroll the scroll. Episodes keep reoccurring and stifling. People's vision get blurring, their hearts start murmuring. I'm about 5 times iller than a Sherman. Introspection is God's gift to the miracle. I freak material, lamb's milk without the cereal. When MCs say your booty, they mean venereal. Your fake material hip-hop killers, they more faking than fucking Michael Jackson and Thriller. The status of a hoe, Quanto Costa. They wanna know how much it costs, kid, I bet for keep to me just relax, and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat, just relax, and just hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real bad.